Hello everyone, this is Heaven Sent. Um, I decided to make another video to upload today because my other one started to get a couple of views already. So I kind of wanted to make this video um, so people don't make the same mistake I did. Pretty much this video is touching on repacks um, versus like building your own repack, and what type of things you should be looking for. I made a mistake of just picking a repack, thinking I could do A, B, and C, um, and the thing is, for some servers, it's not quite like that. Pretty much, I want to make a fun server. Probably gonna be um, like a pretty steep progression. Like, since this repack already has items, I'll probably start off with those items, um, and then go ahead and make it so that the stats get pretty high. Um, but I wanted to go over pretty much again the aspects of that. So there are some people that are like me that want to make a fun server. That's only what I've ever played. I don't really like Blizz-like. Um, I know some people do. It seems, in my opinion, though, that a lot of the Blizz-like servers are just because they don't want to kind of like get involved with the server and have to mess around with things, and it's a lot of time to put into these things. So that's why it's important you kind of understand what you're doing first. Pretty much, I had made start editing a Blizz like thinking I could make it like a fun server, because a lot of the things are saying you can, but then I ended up finding out like the hard way that there was a damage cap, there was a stat cap, and like a haste cap and all those things. You couldn't go past level 100, and none of those things are what I wanted. I wanted to have like 255 and high stats and stuff. So pretty much I had sat there doing like teleporters, making items and stuff for about like 2 days, and I ended up having to just restart on another server. So after the day or two, I was deciding that let me just learn how to compile a server, so this way I can edit the files to be what I want them to be. So, to remove like the stat caps or the level caps and things like that. So I had learned by looking at the tutorial, how to do, how to compile it. So this way I could edit the files, compile it, and then I would have, say, like the level cap removed and stat cap and things like that. But it ended up not going well. Pretty much the guide was pretty simple, and the steps that you had to do were pretty understandable, but there's a lot of different things that you have to download to do it. And if things don't jive with each other well, then you'll keep getting errors. So for like hours upon hours, I was fixing one error, and then I get another error when trying to compile it, and then I'd fix that error, and then I get another error, and this was like about a day. It just kept happening, and then finally I got an error towards the end that just would not get fixed no matter what I did, and I said, you know what, it's not worth it. Let me just go look online and see if I can find a repack that has something that I kind of am looking for. So I had found a couple repacks that were made for people that want to do fun servers, and wanted to be 255 and high levels and things like that. So I went and downloaded this one. This one's actually Forgotten. I think it's Forgotten Vikings repack. It's pretty decent. So there's some things that you could that you have to start off. So this way you can kind of focus on what you really want to be unique about the server. They have a leveling road on here, which is pretty cool. They have a separate leveling system, so you have your regular levels up to 255, and then you get like this secondary level for defeating things, which is pretty cool. He already had starter gear made. They had a teleporter, but the only thing that is a little frustrating about this is the teleporter is I can't edit it. I don't know what they did. I can't find where they had put this teleporter in. The only way I found like only thing I found about the teleporter is pretty much that I could change the name and stuff like that and the ID, but all the teleporter scripts, it's not in the SQL, so I honestly, or the database, whatever, I honestly don't know how they put this thing in because it doesn't seem normal. Because all the ones I was trying to look up are all saying that you could edit them in MySQL under like the spawn scripts or whatever, the smart scripts, and I don't see, the only teleports I see are the Levin Road, which I assume they added in, and then the teleporter I added to kind of do like world bosses. So pretty much, in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it to go through the trouble of compiling the server when the only thing you're going to really be changing is minor things. I know some people do like to do it because I'm pretty sure that's the only way you could do like scripted instances where like the bosses do different things. I could be wrong because it seems like you can make characters. I did make a world boss and it's pretty basic, but it seems like you can make it do other things, like make it have certain spells and, you know, affect the spell damage different from the range damage. So it seems like you could pretty much just sit there and like make world bosses and stuff. You can change their health, their damage, and their drops and stuff like that. So it's not really, it doesn't seem like you really need much more than that in my opinion. But again, it does have starter gear for all different classes, so that's something cool that you don't have to worry about, you know, making a starter gear. I'm gonna have to add starter weapons, so that's not that big of a deal. It's just gonna be a couple weapons I'll have to add, but this is something that takes away from what you have to, you know, kind of, I guess you'd say, deal with. Like, you're not gonna have to worry about starter gear, so it saves you some time. And starter gear isn't something that has to be crazy unique, but they are pretty cool. The starter sets they have, as you can see, it is pretty cool. This is the Death Knight. So it is something that's pretty unique. I haven't really seen most of these. I have seen, I think the rogue kind of looks familiar, but I haven't really seen many of these in the game on other servers. So it's pretty cool because it does, yeah, I've definitely never seen these sets in a private server before. So again, that kind of gives you a, you know, a start layer of customization to your server. And then they have like a little quest to get a tabard, like a starter kind of tabard, which actually has stats, which is cool. But as you'll see, they have all different instances. This one actually is pretty cool. The dude made like pretty much a, apparently he paid someone to have a script done to where you could actually, like, the way you get items for these dungeons is they drop a broken item, and then they drop like a hammer, and you have an anvil that you could actually create the item on. Pretty much you go to like the anvil, I'm putting them at the end of the dungeon, they weren't spawned in, I'm putting them at the end of the dungeon, and pretty much you do the dungeon, then at the end there's the anvil, and you could craft the armor. So that's pretty cool. Again, that's another customization that adds uniqueness to the server that I guess you could probably find a way to do, but it's probably going to be a pain. And, you know, again, it's already implemented. And one thing that's cool about that is they do already have a couple tiers. So pretty much you could have these already done and then kind of focus on the other instances that you want to have. And you could kind of make them unique. And you don't have to worry about, you know, pretty much the first couple instances. So that's really cool to me too. But again, the main thing is you're going to want to worry about what type of thing you want, or what type of server you're going to want to have. Again, me wanting to have a fun server, on the Blitzlock server you can't have these stats. It capped out at like 20,000 damage or something like that. It just turned red. And this one, As you can see, I have pretty high stats, and they're all taking. Um, I've been pretty much experimenting with haste to kind of see what the haste cap is before it starts to act weird. Because before I was messing around with it, and it made my attacks slower when I went over a certain haste. So there's things you're gonna have to kind of mess around with, like again, the drops for some of the items that you need to craft armor weren't they weren't like correctly in the loot database. They were dropping like at an extremely low rate, and I kept killing the bosses and they weren't dropping. So pretty much I had to go around all the dungeons. I'm still doing it and finding the loot table IDs for the bosses and then editing those. I'll probably do a video on making like a world boss. I'll go ahead and show you guys the one I made. It's pretty simple, but there are things about the server that you're going to have to customize still, so this way you don't kind of feel like you're ripping the person off. I mean, a lot of people that do these repacks are doing them with the intention that you're going to use them and probably make a server. So I did feel at first like, well, I don't want to use the things that are already in because I kind of feel like a cheapskate, but you know, there are some things you're going to have to customize to how you want them to be on the server, so it's still going to be unique, and you know, we should be grateful that someone took the time and gave us the opportunity to use the repacks. So, in my opinion, I would just find a repack that you kind of want to build off of. There are a ton of repacks with Blizz-like and fun servers. So again, I would just kind of go off there. Pretty much almost everything you're going to be able to edit with just MySQL, so you don't really need to change the scripts except for like item level capping and stat capping and level capping and stuff like that. So once you kind of know that those are already taken out, then you could pretty much just use that repack and focus on building the server the way you want it. I wanted to make a I don't think I actually have. Yeah, no, I didn't put in. This is the living road, so I didn't put in the world boss teleporter because again, I can't edit this teleporter. I don't quite understand why, because all the places that have teleporters are saying you can just edit them. They did make 255 gear too to start doing T1s and stuff, which is cool. Pretty sure, yeah, it seems like it's actually the same as the starter gear levels. I think someone pointed out that the starter gear is actually better than this gear, which is a little strange. But I'm gonna have to kind of see how that armor equates to T1 and kind of go from there. See if that's way too low for T1 or what, because I haven't actually done that. Which is another thing. You're pretty much gonna have to kind of do the dungeons with the gears that are already in here to kind of see like, okay, is this what I want this dungeon to feel like doing? Like, do I want it to be super hard or do I want it to be like pretty fast and you know, things like that. So I made the world boss teleporter. I'm probably gonna add other world bosses and then it'll actually have like a menu, but for right now I only have one teleport, so it's not gonna have a menu. So I went and made it here. I thought it was really cool because if you go back a bit, I have GM on tilt 1 attack. There's like this huge rhino and they're doing like this summoning, so I thought this would be a cool place to go. He's got a decent amount of health because I wanted him to have, you know, like a decent amount of health. Again, it's going to have haste items. I made a tabard right here. So, I think, yep, I already have it on. So this is the tabard's going to drop. It already has a shirt that it drops, which is this one. So pretty much, I wanted it to be interesting. So we'll go ahead and GM off. We'll go ahead and fight it quick. I have to edit my patch so this way these actually show up as items. I made his armor a bit high, but I didn't want him to be too easy because, again, it's going to be dropping haste items, which most servers usually make you donate for like any type of haste tabard or shirt. So I figured it'd be cool to kind of make this pain in the A boss. but he'll have a chance of dropping haste items. We're gonna go ahead and just start damaging because I don't really go through this whole fight since it's just me. But you'll see he dies, it's pretty cool. Then you go ahead and right now I have just dropping his shirt. You go ahead, I already have one of them, so delete this one. And then you can go ahead and loot it, and the item works. So pretty much you're gonna still be able to do a lot of customization things. This was actually a character that isn't even an attackable NPC, but I used Trinity Creator and compiled it, like made the model ID into a boss and went in and like edited the health and characteristics and stuff like that. So this is actually a completely made boss. Again, I'm pretty sure you could add like different spells it does and stuff like that too. So that's pretty much the gist of making like your own boss. I know there's some crazy shit that I've seen on private servers but it's not really that necessary. But I'm going to be adding more things to it. So as you see, I got the little world boss teleporter. So I'm going to kind of have these things as people to do on the side. Kind of get some haste items, but I wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit because again, I spent probably about 2 or 3 days that I could have been spending making the server a lot more unique as I want to do. I want to have like, you know, all different items. Again, I want to have pretty much higher leveled items so people have a decent amount of stats and things like that. So it's going to be taking a decent amount of effort. So again, I could have been spending 2 or 3 days on this server instead of finding out the hard way about the Blizzlight server and then trying to compile one. So it's not worth it. Just start off on a repack and edit it the way you want. You know, you could go ahead and edit instances to drop items you want, and you know, edit all the bosses to have certain health and stuff like that, and you know, all those things. You could even like, you know, delete certain bosses and places and put your own boss in there. Like I could go ahead and make this dude a boss in a dungeon and make him drop whatever I want him to drop and all that stuff. So it's honestly not worth compiling a server. Just find one that's either fun server characteristics so you could have high stats, or it's just going to be Blizz-like and you're just going to pretty much run with that. But this is Heaven Sent. Thank you for watching.